have Biden and Trump. I gotta emphasize this. Biden and Trump are doing everything they can to tank the dollar. So not only do we have Biden engaging in unhinged funding of genocides, illegally occupying Niger, Iraq, and Syria, the sanctions regime. Do you guys understand the United States sanctions 1/3 of the world's population? And people think we're the good guys. And now the United States is threatening to sanction Uganda over the new anti-gay law. So now Uganda is going to have incentive to de-dollarize. And I'm going to bring my guest in on this because I'm very interested in on your take on this. Both candidates are going to fuck the dollar up. Look at this here. Trump plans to sanction countries for refusing to use the dollar. As if you get so even more incentive. You guys know 120 countries view China as their top trading partner. You have the rise of BRICS. You have BRICS countries that are stocking up gold right now, and they're preparing to ditch the United States for this bullshit. The United States, war on the defenseless. Sanctions harm 1/3 of the world's people. Now, sanctions is a great marketing term because I see politicians, they say, oh, this country's evil. We're going to put sanctions on them. Most Americans have no idea what they're talking about.
Oh, sanctions, that must be bad. Yeah. Bad country. Yeah. Okay.
I think people's opinion of this shit would change if they were forced to call what it is. We are engaging in economic war against Venezuela.
100%.
We are engaging in economic war against Russia and China. Why do you guys think they created this bullshit war, sanction? What does that even mean? And what does that mean? It's economic war. And liberals see this, and they still think we're the good guys as we sanction 1/3 of the world's population. The United States had this very smug ideology that's crumbling. They had the ideology they can implement sanctions against governments that choose different economic modes of development than we do, or people who move and have alliances that the United States don't approve of. And if they put these sanctions on these people, the people will rise up and overthrow the government, and there'll be a U.S. puppet. Now, but what actually happened was that when countries like in Venezuela and Russia that are sanctioned to death, that caused them to rally around the anti-empire leaders. That's why Russia and Putin has an 87% approval rating, because the entire Russian people see that the West is engaging in economic warfare against them. The only thing it does is start to unify a country. And another failure of this ideology is it serves to wake up the world that dollarization is not a good idea. So I want you to react before I move on. I can do a long presentation, but do you have any reactions to and your thoughts on this?
I love this thing. And that's why right before I came on the show, I actually was talking to my Russian group chat, and I was like, they're attacking Russia because now Suleiman is going after Russia. But see, you guys have to understand what that means and why, again, the why and the why now. Why go after Russia right now so strongly? Why are we you have the anti-gay law. We can talk about that too. But why are we going after Russia, China so strongly right now? Because Russia proved to the world that you don't need the damn dollar. You don't need to be on SWIFT. You don't need to be in NATO. You don't need to worry about who's on your borders. You don't need to do none of that. And you can take on all of NATO at the same time, and you're out. And that's why Iran said, you know what? I guess it is safe to join BRICS. And that's why China said, you know what? We're going to start building stuff in Venezuela. And like, that's why all of these things are happening. You know, we had the United States seizing Russian assets. Another thing that damages the dollar. Who trusts the United States to hold on to their money anymore? So exactly.
Yeah. And this is the big giant brain idea. You guys see the ideas establishment. I see them talking about MSC. Why don't we just seize all this Russian money? What do you think the long-term effects of this will be? And Sarah, I want you to finish your thought. I kind of interrupted.
No, you're fine. I'm sighing because it's like more money. Like, what are you going to do? Bomb the Russians with money? Like, why are we seizing the Russian money? And then you know why they did that? They wanted to encourage the EU to do it to further damage the EU's already damaged relationship with Russia. So it's really all just like, we got to figure out what we can do to damage Russia while we still have them in the position where we can damage them. And it's really like a grasping at straws. And then the sanctions on China. And it's literally like, what are you doing? Like 2 weeks ago, you were begging China for help in the Red Sea. Now we're talking about sanctions again. What the fuck is going on?
And the messaging that comes from the Biden administration couldn't be worse, because they're putting sanctions on and they apply sanctions on China because of their support of Russia during their military operation in Ukraine. So the messaging they are sending is that if you're a country that has a foreign policy the United States don't agree with, there's a good chance that we're going to put sanctions on you. If you have a domestic policy that the United States don't agree with, like in Uganda, we're going to put sanctions on you. What is the result of this, my friends? That means countries are going to become nervous. And then they're going to be like, man, what if we do something that the United States don't approve of? This is what leading to the massive push for de-dollarization. You guys see how directly the policies that the West is pushing is leading to the fall of the dollar. And I always put this up, but this right here, bro.
There you go. Okay, and they're all looking at him like more sanctions. All right, and I'm glad you were harping on the Uganda thing. I'm not anti-gay. I'm not anti-gay marriage. What the do you care what's going on with gay people in Uganda? They do this shit to rally up our Zoomers, our millennials, and our Gen Xers, and now they're like, well, go ahead and sanction Uganda, as if they're not already oppressed enough in Africa. Mind your business. And I'm glad that Uganda sort of dragged their feet this whole time, so now they could be like, go ahead and sanction us and take away the dollar. Go ahead. We got rubles, rupees, yuan, we got it all. Like, go ahead. And Zimbabwe now backing up their currency with gold. Expect more turmoil there. Just and it's these things. It's really about the dollar. I'm really grateful for people like you, because so many people don't get it. They see the anti-gay law and they say, well, either F gay people or that's horrible. They don't say, what is it really about? It's about the dollar.
Yeah. And this is the problem with, and this is how they get the liberal wing. We explain it all the time on RBN. You have to sell both wings of the imperial faction. Right wingers, you don't have to bring up none of this cultural shit. They down to blow anyone up who look at America the wrong way. You don't have to convince them anything regarding China. You don't have to bring up how Russia treats the elders. They down for anything. But with liberals, you gotta be more creative. You gotta engage in cultural imperialism. We gotta put sanctions on Iran. Cause you see how Iran treat their women? You see how Palestinians treat the LGBTQ community? You see how Uganda? You gotta see, we must reject this. And this is what I propose. Until we change our society, we must lead by example. So until we have a revolution and we can have a society that leads by example, we need to focus only on society, because who are we to tell other countries how to live? We had to study history and realize that the liberal imperialists use this as justification for their military actions. How many of these dumb Democrats have you seen? They say, oh, you dumb college kids are opposing genocide. Do you know what Palestinians think about the LGBTQ community? You guys see how they use cultural imperialism to push their ideas.
Yeah, exactly.
The anti-gay law in Uganda disgusts me, but I can't do anything to change it.
Exactly.
What am I supposed to say about it? Other than what we can do is build a society that leads by example. That's the only thing you can do. Once you have your revolution, you build your society that's this paradise, then by leading by example, you can hope to influence other countries. That's the only thing we can do that is not inherently imperialist. You guys understand?
I do encourage people to really read these laws, because, in the West, they're usually reported as an anti-LGBT law, and that's, inflammatory and whatever. There are some countries that have laws that say no outside LGBT media coming in. They want to be able to control that sort of thing. So like with Russia and people, somebody mentioned in the chat, the thing that sucks about Uganda is they see gayness as Western imperialism. It sucks, but they literally do. People in the East see it as that, because they, and I don't know if your listeners know or not, but like, for example, Serbia is a majority Orthodox Christian nation. They are very Orthodox. They are not part of the EU. They were forced to hold EU pride in 2022. Why? Why did Serbia have to hold EU pride? To insult them. And that's what we're talking about when we say, what is R2P? Why do you have a responsibility to protect gays in Uganda? Mind your effing business, right? Why are you forcing Serbia with like huge Orthodox cathedrals, one of the oldest Orthodox communities in the world, to host pride, if not to insult them and insult their religion? So that's the kind of balances that we need to keep in check. That stuff can't happen. We can't alienate people with our progressiveness. We have to figure out how to, exactly what you said, lead by example, present it in a way that's acceptance, celebratory, supportive, and lead by example. Whatever works for United States is not going to work for Zimbabwe. It's not going to work for Russia. So, I mean, that's another thing. So,
yeah. And that's just my response to people who say, "Oh, what should we do about it?" Because it does. I see the anti-guys. I see all these things in other countries. Like, damn, that sucks. But what can we really do about it other than that? That's not inherently imperial. And this is, I guess, it's hopium. I will admit it's hopium. The only thing I can think of that is not imperialist is that if you clean your backyard up, and then people in those countries see that you're thriving, rejecting their mindset, then maybe they will put for change in their country. And to be honest, that's the only thing I can think of doing. That's not imperialist. Take care of your backyard and hope you lead by example. But I'll give you last word and get a super chat.
Russia and China are garbage at soft power. That's why it always cracks me up when people are like, Russia, China propaganda. I'm like, they are just now getting okay at propaganda. They are not good at propaganda. What is their propaganda? Videos from their cities. That's it. They're literally just tourist videos. We see videos from China every day and we all say, holy shit, what is going on over there? And that's all they've done. I only know of like 2 or 3 real CPC propagandists, like a few people that, visit Xinjiang purposely and kind of celebrate the culture there. And a few other people like Andy who work for state media and stuff like that. But their propaganda is just travel videos. Like, that's what we need. We need that kind of cultural heritage again. We need some sort of something that holds us together, something that binds us. So that's what I think, and that's why what your messaging is perfect. Like, why are we worried about forcing the other countries with legislation or bombs or money? We should just be cleaning up ourselves and then leading by example.
Yeah, that's just the only solution like I have to like a lot of these things that we can't impact. You know what I mean?